What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Basketball. It is Monday, January 16th, 2023. As always, we are presented and hosting on the Barstool Sportsbook. I am Jeff Nadu. We are here back live. We got Kelly in Vegas back with us. Kelly's been hanging out a couple of days a week here on the show. It's Martin Luther King Day, and we got a lot of hoops, a lot of stuff going on. We got some NFL playoffs tonight. Kelly, they call me no days off, Nadu. I don't not work. I'll be here on Christmas. I'll be here on Thanksgiving because in this business, content never stops. Sports never stop. With the exception of a couple of days in July, you always got to be on. You got to always be ready to go. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I rarely take days off myself, and it's only because I end up passing on a game, but I'm still going to talk about the other games because there's a lot, especially, normally Mondays are kind of mundane. There's a few really solid games tonight. I'm excited. College basketball has basically been going on all day. We had some Ivy Leagues right now. I wouldn't say we're head-to-head. I leaned Purdue. You gave out Michigan State at 4. So they're rocking and rolling right now. Kind of ended up laying off that one personally because I just wasn't sure if the Boilermakers could get hot from 3. We know that that's kind of their Achilles heel. If they get hot from 3, they're going to win basketball games. If they don't, it's going to be a slugfest. And I think that's what we're seeing right now in East Lansing. So I'll be cheering for you plus the 4. Did you sprinkle a little on the money line?
No, I don't usually do that a lot of the time.
Okay.
I don't want to negate and make it, a double loss, maybe a half a win. I just, for me, I'm a big, if you're going to give me 4 points in a basketball game, which I think is going to be close, I'll gladly take it. Sometimes I'll try to middle and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Live and things like that. But I'll tell you what I've been doing, Kelly, and I had a couple over the weekend, is it's largely been talked about recently. I don't watch these games a lot of the time, but I do notice what's going on. And a lot of the time I'll look at, so for instance, if we have a noon tip on a Saturday, at about 1:10, you're going to start seeing second half lines pop up. And what I'm always looking to do is find those second halves, right? Maybe a team that just didn't shoot the ball real well, and you saw a team shoot the ball really well, or just some weird things. And I hit some second halves this weekend I was pretty happy with. So it's nice to kind of have that in your arsenal as well. And I want to talk about right off the top, always looking ahead, Kelly, at what's going on, because one of the games I loved, and I told people this on Friday, I loved Clemson. I told you guys that on Saturday. And I think, to me, another game, looking ahead till tomorrow, I told you, and I both talked about it on the space before we lost you, that, we kind of both leaned on, or someone in the States said they leaned on Vandy on Saturday against Arkansas.
Me, of
Yeah,
course.
same.
Of course they play it. Of course.
I ended up getting involved, and, that's a good little basketball team, man. They're at home tomorrow night. I think they're going to be catching close to double digits against, an Alabama team that I think on the surface is due to lose a game or not play well. And I'm going to keep saying this, guys, this off the court stuff, okay, I've seen it affect teams differently than others. New Mexico State, when they lost Mike Peake, really didn't miss a beat, right? But this is a much different situation. You have an individual on this team who's no longer there that, quite possibly killed somebody. And he was on the bench Saturday. So, this is something that I think can start to hurt and affect some of these players. A young woman is dead today behind this. And, this is a really dangerous game. There's a strict, Kelly, kind of thing where you obviously want to show kind of respect. And I've kind of tried to be on top of this. But, again, eventually you have to start looking at it from the way we look at it, right? This is going to affect Alabama, I think.
You've stated many times that on the few short times I've done the show that you're not a big Nate Oates fan.
No.
And I think this is going to tell us what we know about Nate Oates.
Yes.
As far as how much control he has over the locker room. You'll hear a lot of that, right? Like whether it's NFL, whether it's NBA, college basketball, college football, is when a coach loses control over the locker room and there's outside factors for whatever reason, and the players are not happy, there's rumblings going around. Sometimes you want to look to fade those teams. It is a very unfortunate event. I didn't know until I saw your Twitter last night. And we've kind of seen it with Texas, with Chris Beard. Obviously, different situation because it was the head coach as opposed to a player. But Texas has just been an abomination basically since Chris Beard got fired. So something to keep an eye on. Let's see how this Alabama team perseveres and responds. But I'm with you. I have Vanderbilt on my long list for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind as you head into kind of a regular day again tomorrow. That said, quickly at the end, we are going to get in. I actually very much like something in this game tonight between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Bucs. Yesterday, I mean, a lot of high-scoring games. It seemed like there were a lot of high-scoring games this weekend. So we're going to get into a little NFL. I will say, did it surprise me that the Minnesota Vikings were going to lose? No, because that's normally what loser groups like that do, especially ones led by Kirk Cousins. That said, I mean, Kelly, it wasn't just the thought that you do that play on 4th and 8, throw the ball 3 yards, but the real sheer arrogance of doing it. I mean, you're basically kind of telling yourself, we don't believe an NFL player to the caliber of the individual that made the tackle was capable of making a tackle in the open field. Not for nothing as well. Where the hell was Justin Jefferson at the end of that game? Look, I get you're going to double the guy, but you got to find a way and get him the football. Did they throw to him in the fourth quarter? Just a disaster game plan from a group that is, no secret. They do this sort of thing.
So I'm not going to lie to you. You get a lot of grief about not watching games. I got an awful lot of grief from the Jags fandom because I laughed and I was on Twitter. I turned the game off. 4 interceptions. I turned it off after the second. And then on Twitter, I see a third and then a fourth. And I'm like, why on earth would I subject myself to this? I'll take my L and I'll go home. It's like when I used to play like Madden or NCAA, like you take your console and you're like, fuck this, I'm out. Like, you'll just take your ass beating and just quit. And I got a lot of grief for that. But that's basically what I did last night during Minnesota as well. I quit watching right after the Giants halftime. No adjustments were clearly made by Kevin O'Connell. And I said, all right, I'm done. So to answer your question, I didn't see any of those plays because I didn't care. Not for 1 second. I said, all right, I lost this Minnesota game. It is what it is. We saw it with LSU. I bet against Alabama. We talked about it on our spaces on Saturday. And Megan agreed with me on LSU. And I'm like, you know what? She's got a pretty good read on her team. Should I be stepping in front of this Alabama team? We talked about teams we were looking to fade, teams we were looking to play on. Probably shouldn't have stepped in front of it. But you know what? Never once, not even for 5 seconds did I have to suffer through a sweat. It was a dead-on loser. And that's kind of how my attitude has started to approach some of these things. Me watching the game does not change the outcome whatsoever.
No, it's funny. Years ago, I used to get like a lot of these people do, and yell at the TV. And look, you do stuff for content.
I still yell at the TV if it's a close game. If it's something it's exciting, and I know that I still have a chance to cash a ticket. If it's dead, I'm just like, see you later.
Well, I remember my mother said to me one time years ago, I was yelling at a TV. She goes, they don't hear you, right? I said, it's true. I said, but it's just my nature, I guess.
They don't hear you.
Yeah, but I immediately start to realize as I get older, that's 2-3 years, I don't, whether I watch the game today between Michigan State and Purdue, the game's going to happen either way, right? And I still have my day to get to, right? I don't know how people have the time to sit there and watch all this stuff. And look, if a game's on at a bar or something, and I'll tell you, I told you on when was the last time we spoke? I love the Chargers this week. I bet it. I like the spot. And I had a great Saturday. That was a rough way to lose. I mean, it was midnight. I was out. I'm thinking to myself, I'm telling a kid I'm with, I said, they're not really going to blow this, are they? And then they went for 2, right? That option where they went for 2. And I said, well, now we're screwed. I said, because you could just see it was just falling apart, minute by minute. But yeah, I can't. Your blood pressure will be out of control if you sit here and watch this stuff. So if you do, shout out to you. But it ain't what I'm doing. That said,
Josh is in the comments talking about how you're going to turn it off. It's an NFL game. He's right. I've told people 100 times, like, stop thinking the game's over in the first quarter, especially in the NFL. We've seen crazy comebacks, collapses, whatever, but you still have one of these. And you still have people texting you, and you still can check the score. It's not like I just am not going to sit there in the living room, subject myself, and when it's midnight, and I can just go to bed and work on some college basketball or do something else. Like, there's plenty of other things I'd rather subject myself to.
I'll say this. I think football is much, especially when you bet on it, football is much easier to watch.
Oh, because, for sure.
In basketball, every single play is changing the score, right? Football is different, where you don't have as much scoring and you're not seeing a game-changing play every single play. So, again, watch what you want to watch. I'll watch what I want to watch. Quickly before we get into these games, because I got to tell you, I've been killing it in college hoops, and I got some doozies for you today, one of which is way off the beaten path. But I do want to answer this. Nadu, what are your thoughts on Frank going to the game and literally leaving halfway through? Was he kicked and not telling anyone? Well, no, he wasn't kicked out. Second of all, I don't believe it was halfway through. I think he left at the beginning of the fourth quarter. That said, I will defend Frank for just a second. I don't know who booked his flight. It wasn't Big Cat. Stop adding Big Cat. Big Cat doesn't. What do you folks think? Big Cat sits there and creates a travel schedules for everybody.
First of all, we have one person that does that. One.
And I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guarantee this. Frank probably booked these tickets. His flight was at 6 or whatever it was. He didn't want to miss it. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but airports are a fucking disaster right now.
Very good point.
And second of all, the game was incredibly long.
It was for not having
incredibly long.
I had zero skin in the game. And Jeff, my dad's house down here is 3.5 hours from my house. I left after the first quarter. I got to my driveway and there was still 7 minutes left.
It
was the longest game ever.
I mean, it started at 1:00 and I don't think it ended till around 5.
They had to boot the Minnesota game 20 minutes.
Yeah, nuts. It was crazy. So listen, when you're on like a time grab, listen, he don't have a private jet to get on. He don't have a limo to take him back, right? I think a lot of people don't realize, a lot of the time, most of the people that work for Barstool are just flying commercial, right? Just normal.
Well, yeah, of course.
Right?
Unless you're part of the college football show, you're not flying on a private jet.
Sure. But outside of that, I'm going to guess, it's Sunday. Buffalo's not a huge airport, I don't believe. I mean, maybe they only had certain flights.
Yeah, and then back to the city. It's kind of that weird. I get it. I was giving Frank shit because Skylar Thompson went to my alma mater. I think he's a great guy. I've met him several times. He did a lot in the community in Manhattan, not the Big Apple, the Little Apple. And, I just was kind of chirping back because it's not all his fault. And I would have died. Just loved every second of it. Somehow Miami would have won that game and Frank had to leave early.
I was thinking it's just going to be fucking wild if they actually win and he ain't there to see it.
That was what I was chirping about. I get it. I mean, I've definitely booked flights right after games, but I usually try to say, okay, I'm going to take the late flight just in case. And then I'm usually sitting in the airport absolutely and utterly miserable because I drank too much and would rather be home. That said, and I'll just say it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not that far. Why fly? I don't know. I don't know. Because nobody in the city owns cars. That's the difference between Philly and New York, right? Yeah. They all take public transportation and things like that. I believe Frank has a car, though. I have no idea if Frank has a car. Yeah. All I know is he talks about the New Jersey transit system so much that I think that's his lifeblood. Well, that said, I mean, there is one team that I actually do care about. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be there Saturday. Nice. I try to go to every home game. I mean, I think it was at all but 2 this year. So I get it. It's no one's in the spot. People are going to give him shit. If it were me, they'd give me shit. Just how it goes. But it is what it is. Maybe you should have left this morning or later. Leave at 9. Well, especially because today's a holiday. So I don't know if you guys watch Money Shots, but Megan texted me on Saturday. Like, hey, don't forget, no show on Monday. I'm like, why not? She's like, it's a holiday. The office is closed and my kids are home. You don't want children screaming in the background of Money Shots. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, and then I text you. I was like, hey, we're still doing the show. You're like, absolutely. Well, see, the thing with me is I have no kids, right? So I don't look at people look at holidays. Either. Yeah, people look at holidays different when they have kids, right? It's for me, it don't matter if it's Christmas. If I don't have to be at my mother and father's house until a certain time, I'm still doing a day normally, right? Yeah. So it's I'm going to do it. I'm always going to be here. So, shout out to us, I guess. But let's get into today's card. Couple of spots. I'm going to start with the most boring game on the card, at least to most people. Most of you probably don't know any of these teams even exist, but I'm going to put one on your wavelength tonight. And you're probably going to say there's no shot I'm betting that, but I'm going to tell you why you probably should bet it. Let's go up to very little. North Andover, Massachusetts. For anyone that doesn't know, that is where Merrimack College is. Okay.
They're playing a team tonight called Wagner. Shout out to Rico Bosco. Wagner is on Staten Island. Okay. I'm going to play the under 116.5. Yes, it's very low. But Kelly, I get the feeling this game may not get to 100. Both these teams are, quite frankly, disasters. Merrimack is the worst offensive efficiency in America, 363. That is where they are. They are going to play very slow. Wagner's one of the slowest teams in America. And I'll give you a little schematic breakdown. Merrimack plays this very odd hybrid press zone, and it just eats the seconds off the clock. I think this game last year was 58-48. That was a much better Wagner team than this year's. This is not a good team this year, hence the reason they're a dog. And Wagner actually can protect the basketball. So I think we see just a ton of half-court offense, 20, 22 seconds each possession. If they get over 116.5, so be it. But I'm going to lean on like a 57, 52 type of game. Under 116.5 for all you folks looking for this one. That said, Kelly, do you have any opinion on this one?
Nope, you're absolutely right. If you said, Kelly, here's a nickel and not a coin, $500. He said, here's $500. And if you could just name where one of these schools is, I'll give it to you. I could not have. Let's just be honest.
Fair enough. And like I said, this was a much different Wagner team, last season. So I don't put a ton of stock into the results. I think the results are probably going to shade much towards the last game they played in this one. So I'm going to go low. It's a low total, right? 60-58 is a loser here. That's kind of how crazy this is.
That's gross.
I'm going to hope this game's in the 50s. That's what I'm hoping for. All right, let's get to a game that's a little bit more interesting. And it's at 6 o'clock Eastern. Note your times today, folks. Okay. Don't just assume every game starts at 7. This game starts at 6 o'clock Eastern. You got Illinois headed on the road to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And, I'll tell you this, Kelly, anytime we're in the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, anytime I see a team getting near double digits at home or just double digits in general, I'm really going to look at the dog a lot of the time. These are teams where I'm just going to be real. I don't know if any team is 10 points better than any team. I just don't. And look, I don't think Minnesota is great. I do think they're a pretty strong defensive team. The tempo they play is just very difficult to play against because it's so slow. They're going to stay in games because they can do little things like, they have a decent offense in the half court. That keeps teams in games. My first thought was under the total. I just feel like, I could see this one truly. I kind of screamed like 69-58 or something, 71-61 or something. I think it should be right around the number, but what do you think about Illinois? I mean, Illinois has kind of bounced back after kind of a volatile time. They've won 3 in a row and taking care of business. They're also a very good defensive team. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I wanted to make a case for the Gophers. I really did, but you kind of nailed it. Listen, the Illini, they've been a lot better as of late. They lost that game to Northwestern. I took Northwestern plus the points that night. Not a single dollar on the money line, of course, because I didn't think that Illinois was going to just go, from Champaign to Evanston and lose that type of game. I mean, think about how the home court advantage is for the Illini. Now, just move it to Evanston. Like, there was tons of Illinois fans there. So I was like, all right, this is too many points. They're not going to lose this game. And sure enough, Walt's right in there. And they didn't just lose. They got their asses kicked by 13. And then they bounced back nice against the next 3 opponents. Michigan State, most notably last Friday. But the Golden Gophers and Ben Johnson, they're just not a good basketball program. Now, at home, as you mentioned, catching 9. We'll see. They've just started off so slow in conference play. And I really think that Illinois' defense could smother this just lackluster offense. And that concerns me that they won't be able to cover the 9. But Illinois has some of their own faults. They got to not turn the ball over, which has kind of been their Achilles heel in the 3 or 4 losses they've had on the season. And that's because when they turn the ball over to teams like Mizzou, they get absolutely waxed. And we'll see. I like Brad Underwood. I'm kind of a Brad Underwood fan from his years with Frank Martin at K-State, followed him to SFA. And I wanted him as a head coach in Manhattan. I do like him, and I do think overall he has some really solid teams. but I have to agree with you here. 9 is probably too many. Looking at the total, I'd say like 71-62 type final, if you will. So I don't think I really want to get involved there. But if you wanted me to give a head nod, I'd say give me the Golden Gophers plus the 9.
Here's why I would say the only way you play this is the total. I think if you like Illinois, you got to go over. If you like Minnesota, you go under. Here's why I wouldn't take Minnesota, and I'd just take the under. When I bet a dog, right, in any college basketball, they have to do 3 things, right? Not turn it over, hit threes, and make free throws, none of which Minnesota does. In fact, Minnesota is one of the worst free throw shooting teams in America.
Yes, they are.
As a big dog, you can hang in games, Kelly, going 21 for 28 from the free throw line or something like that. You can stay in games doing that, right? Because the way the game flows, the amount that you're going to hit some threes, you can stay in games doing that. They don't do that, Minnesota, right? I will give them credit. They've hung in Big Ten games this year, but they haven't really played an upper echelon team. That's to say, who is an upper echelon team outside of Purdue in this conference? Do we look at any team as kind of that? And Purdue's on the ropes right now, right? So is any team capable of actually looking, kind of better than everybody else? So I think for me, if you like Minnesota, you just lean under. That we don't have to worry about them maybe losing by 10 here, right? It's just not a great price. So for me, I lean under. I didn't get there with this one. Paco Healy says, happy MLK Day. I just grilled a bunch of pollo and carne asada, and I'm slinging Pacificos. Paco, sounds like a great Mexican day.
Paco's the best.
Yes.
He's the best.
Pacifico is a terrific beer, by the way. I had that when I went to Tijuana one time.
So
great beer.
My only complaint is Pacifico Light is the best Mexican beer on the planet, and you cannot get it in the United States. You can only get it in Mexico. It's really frustrating.
The thing about drinks that a lot of people don't understand, there are 2 things that are better. There's a lot of good things about Mexico, but 2 things that are better in Mexico than anywhere else. Beer, a lot of the time, it's terrific. Yes. And Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah.
Because they use
the orange soda. The orange I forget who makes it, but the orange soda down there is amazing.
You have to realize in Mexico, they use real sugar, right? In the Coca-Cola, right? And I actually watched a documentary. It's pretty interesting. Vice, I think, did it. Mexico, there's a state in Mexico, Chiapas. It's the lowest state in Mexico, right by Guatemala. They consume more Coca-Cola than anyone in the world. Like, they drink it there like water. It's fascinating. Wow. You go into any place, they have Coke everywhere. And they love Coke. It's crazy. I love Coca-Cola too. I don't drink it much anymore, but Coca-Cola is just better in Mexico. Shout out to Mexico. Gets a bad rap, but it's a beautiful, terrific country.
Oh, I love Mexico. Listen, the thing is this, anywhere you go, I've traveled all sorts of amazing places. Central America, Mexico, Caribbean have been by far my favorite because Europe's really snotty usually. People are so friendly. So friendly. Like, just don't do anything stupid and you'll be fine.
The thing about Mexico is there are 32 states, right? And the states that you and I will go to, Quintana Roo, Campeche, they're very safe, right? Look, if you're going to Michoacan or Guanajuato, then, I would worry a little bit. But you're right. Generally, if you go somewhere in this country and you act stupid, you're going to get dealt with.
Around. Right? Hey, fuck around and find out. It doesn't matter where you're at. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's the language barrier, and 90% of Mexico is no longer there. So many people are bilingual, and you have a translator right here. If you forget a word or need some help, I've never had an issue. I was laughing because White Sox Dave and Donnie Does World right now are in the Dominican Republic, and I lived down there. I opened the Hard Rock Casino down there in 2012. Or 2011, and everybody was like, oh my God, it's so dangerous. What are you doing, you little blonde-haired white girl? And I'm like, everybody is so nice. I'm like riding on the back of motorcycle taxis, tip people well, smile and be friendly, and you're not going to have a problem.
Yeah, I think for me, like, just with some of the things I talk about, I probably wouldn't go to Mexico willingly. Just kind of what I talk about, but I think anybody else, you'd probably be all right. And I'm sure I would be all right too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing some of your crime documentaries and you're talking about cartels and things like that, you might have pissed some people off.
I'm pretty nice though. I don't talk about anything that I shouldn't talk about. I just talk about history. But that said, by the way, I want to talk about this quickly. Julian Cesario says he's day 47 alcohol free. I'm actually approaching. Kelly. I'm actually approaching 24 hours alcohol free, and I'm feeling great. I don't think I'll ever get to Dave. I didn't drink for 10 years straight. And then I just started going out and I said, you know what? I do it once a week, maybe twice a week. I think if you do anything in moderation, you're good. Good for you though, Julian. I don't know why you're doing that. Maybe just for your health, but congratulations. Let's get into the rest of this card. And I'm going to give out one other play that I like today, Kelly. I'm going to grab the Qs. Okay. And I'll tell you why.
I literally just opened up my whole note sheet because that is my best bet today.
Beautiful. I love when we align.
Love to hear it.
You look at both games last season, and I don't know how many people know this, but in the second half, Syracuse was up by almost 20 in both games in the second half and lost. They were 0-2 last year against Miami. Feverish comebacks by the Hurricanes, but they were put in bad situations. I like Qs, okay? I like the fact that they play the zone defense. It's always hard to get through a zone, especially when you don't shoot the ball, elite. You really cut off the dribble drive, something that Miami very much loves to do. You look at Miami, they just don't shoot a ton of threes, Kelly. 11th in the ACC in conference play and threes attempted per game. They're just not real three-point reliant. And I think anytime you get a matchup where a team is dependent on dribble drives, I'm always going to look to fade you. That said, I was surprised to see this number so high. I think Syracuse is a decent basketball team. They do a lot of things well. And what did I say before? Do you turn the ball over? Do you make threes? And can you make free throws? Syracuse does them all. If you're going to give me 3+ possessions with the Qs, I'm going to have some interest. I guess my question is, why are they 7.5-point dogs in this game? I don't understand this one at all. I would put this number at 4. That's what I would put it at. Sorry.
My biggest concern here when I first started looking this morning, when I was looking at the lines, I go, somebody out? Did I miss something?
Yeah,
so I'm with you. I think the line is too high as well. Syracuse has fared well, as you mentioned, against the Canes, at least against the number. As of recently, I know that I can see why people like the Canes, right? 14-3 on the year. Laranga's got them playing really well. They're off that NC State loss. I think a lot of people are expecting just a bounce back here, but I don't know about you, but situationally, I love to look at teams coming off an overtime loser because often, especially in college, they lose that game twice. It's hard for these teams to get up and get excited, especially when it was kind of not a great spot for them, to go to NC State, lose. Now they're going back home. They've got Duke on deck. And whether Duke is good this year or not, it's up for debate. And by good, I mean Duke standard good, right? Like unless they're a 3-loss team.
National title contenders. Yeah.
Exactly, right? They've already got 5 losses on the season and everybody's losing their minds. Okay, but it'll be fine. But I do think that this is kind of one of those spots where it's a buy low spot on Syracuse because, again, nobody's out, at least not that I've seen. They're off a nice win, nice back-to-back wins, Virginia Tech and Notre Dame. Nothing crazy to write home about, but it's good to see, Jim Boeheim doing what he does best, and that's coaching these teams up. This team, don't forget, lost to Colgate almost to start the season, had 3 losses in a row, and then they got to beat up on some not-so-great teams like Cornell and Monmouth and Georgetown. And so now they're kind of, playing conference here. I think we get the most from Cuse, from a Miami team off an overtime loss with Duke on deck.
And I can't believe I missed that. I didn't even notice they have Duke on deck. That's a great call by you. So yeah, I'm in on that. I like it. I'm glad we both agree. Like I said, I thought this number would be 4, if maybe 4.5. If you're giving me 7.5, I as well. I thought someone maybe Judah Mintz or somebody's out. Yeah, I think it's a good spot. So yeah, we are in agreement on this one. One other thing on traveling, by the way. Do your own research, okay? For instance, someone's mentioning Dominican Republic, which is very safe given the circumstances, but you're told on TV it's bad, all this stuff. Now, he's also mentioning Haiti. I would not go to Haiti. Haiti's one of the most dangerous countries on the planet. They have no government. The president was assassinated. It's not a good place to go, right? So both very close to each other, but
well, they're on the same island, and there's not much of a border. I'll tell you that much.
You kind of have to know what's going on. Okay, so just do your own research if you're going to travel, and I think it'd just be fun. All right, I want to talk about one other game tonight. It's just kind of interesting. I've kind of highlighted this group, Western Kentucky, and I think they are horrifically coached. Mr. Stansbury, however, I'll give him some credit. They're a good underdog. I had them last week against UAB. They were double-digit dogs, won the game. Now they get big-time Florida Atlantic, another team that's playing very well. I would correlate this. I don't know if I'd get involved because I don't trust West Kentucky, but I think if you like West Kentucky, you have to lean over. Both these teams play very aesthetically pleasing hoops. They're both groups that aren't great defensively. I think this is one's kind of up and down. Both these games last year got into the mid to high 140s. I think you see some pretty good hoops tonight. Also in the Conference USA, UAB may not have Jelly Walker tonight. In fact, I don't think they're going to have Jelly Walker tonight. They're a favorite at Middle Tennessee. On the road, they're a favorite without their best player. That's an interesting one. Could Middle Tennessee, who's kind of hanging out as well as that third or fourth best team, maybe they take some opportunity? You continue to bet on home teams, guys. You continue to win games. It's just how things go. Kelly, love conference play. This is why I tell people, do not go crazy in non-conference play. I keep games to a half a unit until January 1st, and then I get going because you can really use some of this stuff against these people. This conference, in any conference, bet on home teams, you can have some success. Even in the NBA, last night, I'm out watching that football game. I was eating, and the bartender comes up. He goes, "You like the Lakers tonight?" I said, "I love the Lakers tonight." Home dogs against the Sixers. Sixers don't travel well. I see the number at 3.5, Kelly. Drops to 3. Then by game time, it goes to 5.5.
That's what spooked me so bad. I was so pissed.
Listen, James Harden and Tobias Harris ruled in. I didn't even know they were in or out. I didn't even look. I didn't even care. I just saw the number go down to 3. I played it at 3. I played it at 5.5.
Didn't matter. Lakers rolled. Yeah.
Yeah, they won the game, I think.
Yeah, they won.
No, they lost by 1. They lost by 1.
Oh, did they end up losing? They were up big. They were up big at one point, and I was just like so frustrated with myself.
But it was one of those back and forth games. One team would go up, the next team would go. It was seesaw the whole time. 3.5 was good. You have to bet on home teams, guys. It's so hard to win on the road. Now, that said, I think this is an overreaction to a team being on the road. So you have to it's a happy medium, right?
I actually want to pull their home road dichotomy. That is what I've told you guys before.
I'll tell you right now. Syracuse is 2-4 ATS on the road.
They have a better offense, adjusted offensive rating on the road, almost 5 points better. They shoot the 3 ball better on the road. And let's see what else.
This Miami team 6-6 ATS at home.
Yeah.
And a lot of those games are small spreads. They're not covering big spreads. Now you giving me 3+ possessions here. It's rare you bet on road teams, at least to me, but this is one that I'll be glued to. So
yeah, Miami actually averages 5 less percentage points from 3-point range at home than they do on the road. That's really interesting. I like to be able to break that down and to be able to see, because some teams are better on the road. Some teams are better at home, depending on their home court advantage. And I'm not saying that Miami doesn't have a little bit of a home court. It's not like it's, Allen Fieldhouse East. It's just, I would say it's worth maybe 3 points at the most. And I agree with you. This line is way too high. I also played Syracuse first half. We've seen this Miami team kind of come out of the gate, at least in their losses, kind of slow. And I think after that overtime loss on Friday, we may see it may be a second half starter here.
I also want to say, somebody's mentioned about Jelly Walker. Jordan Majewski, who is great at college basketball, a lot of good info from him. He says it would be surprising if Walker shoots up today, given the quick turnaround, as he has a bone bruise in his foot. Although their beat writer described him as day-to-day, but he's also been flat out wrong about Sanford players being ruled out as well. So, all in the same area. Look, here's the thing. I'm not saying that you're going to give up a game, but listen, you're not going to hurt a player's chances of being there when it matters most over one game. And if he has a bone bruise off a quick turnaround, generally, Salzy, I'm going to just tell you, when you see a team a kid questionable, I would literally buy the fact that he's probably not going to play. It's very rare that you're going to force a kid to play if they're questionable, especially off of a quick turnaround on a Monday after a Saturday game. You have to look through the lines here. That said, I don't know why the line hasn't really moved yet, but we'll see. That said, Kelly, any other games in the college that you've looked at that you have an eye on? I mean, outside of that, I mean, we kind of hit some of the big boy games. There's a lot of mid-major stuff, a lot of SWAC action, some other stuff, but I didn't really have much on that card. I didn't see, I'm not a big West guy. A couple of their games there tonight. And like I said, the only low-level team game that I had was Merrimack under. I like that one.
Yeah, I joined you on that. I rarely click the extra board tab, but I had to today for that one. I did bet under 116.5. So we'll see. I got some faith in you. Usually you give out one game on our spaces that's your best bet. And we agreed this week on Clemson. So that was great. Got the cash. And I'm with you tonight on Syracuse +7.
Well, Kelly, in a surprising turn of events, Josh B., who pretty much disagrees with every single thing we say in these shows, just because that's what he does. Listen, Josh, then go bet on road teams. Keep doing that. I'm sure it'll work for you. Listen, 1 year where I don't know where you got those numbers, but 1 year, again, do it to this year. See how it goes for you. David Thomas says, are you riding 15 straight unders on Merrimack? If it's not broke, don't fix it, brother. That said,
I mean, until the books adjust, and clearly they just keep adjusting, and it still doesn't matter. No. Listen, especially if you've already been riding them, absolutely keep riding them. Listen, you were just talking about the sample size. I have a sample size of, I think it was 38 games, Jeff. Let me see if I had it in my notes from last week. Somewhere in here. There we go. I got 38 games, 71% over the last decade to the under wildcard weekend games. And guess what? We've seen 5 overs. It's a small sample size.
Yeah,
it is.
Listen,
when you cherry pick data, you cherry pick data, and you can use it to manipulate however you want, and that's fine. But make sure that sometimes you let people know that is what you're doing. I don't know where Josh got his information.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't know if you mistyped there, pal, but yeah, I don't know. That said, just one other thing on the Merrimack under. Merrimack is 16-1 to the under. Wagner is 10-3.
Ugh.
And again, you guys got to realize, I mean, these are unders that are going under by 10, 11, 8 points. I mean, they're going under significantly. Like I said, I trust the handicapping that I do. I will not watch this game a minute, and I'll hope that at, let's say, 9 o'clock, this game is 55-49 with 6 seconds to go. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see how it goes. I trust my handicapping, though. Let's get to NFL. You mentioned wild card weekend, and it was, let's just say, wild. The Niners kind of rolled. They kind of took control of that game. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, would I actually say I'm real worried as a fan of any team outside of San Francisco? I'm not going to lie to you. No, I'm not. San Francisco is real good. And I kind of been saying this for a while, as have everyone. This is a damn good defense. Brock Purdy has all sorts of, just moxie right now. He's just confident, and you can tell. That said, we speak about road games. You're going to have to go on the road. But I'll tell you, Kelly, they looked great. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, what a comeback. But, hey, that's what Chargers do. Minnesota, I don't think anybody's surprised they lost. I was, and I'll give you mentioned you like Mike McDaniel. We'll give Mike a little credit. That was impressive what they were able to do in that game. I mean, Buffalo, you hit them on the head quick, but, Miami hung around. Skylar Thompson did his thing. And with a third string quarterback, you find a way to almost win the game. That has to be pretty good. If you're
you say Skylar's a third string quarterback. I mean, the guy was on the practice squad. He's done a lot for what he's been tasked.
Little credit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like for what he's been able to do, given with what he's got. I mean, his receivers did him no favors yesterday. 0. I mean, come on. There was a drop by Waddle right out of the gate, and I was just flabbergasted. Like, he would have caught that had Tua thrown that ball.
A lot of drops. They had a lot of drops in general, though.
Yeah. Everybody's updating us in the comment section. I also have it on my phone, even though I didn't even bet it. Tie 62-61, 13 seconds left.
Yeah, you need this.
No overtime. No overtime.
No, that's
overtime is where dogs go to die.
Yeah.
It is my bane of my existence. We'll see. But yeah, as far as this NFL game goes, sorry.
Let's have some fun here. Hold on a second. Let's we'll wait. All right, we're waiting for this game live. They're in a timeout right now. When it comes back from the break, we'll do a live watch. I have the game on. I'm watching it, guys. There you go. I'm gonna watch.
There you go. Look, bottom line, I chickened out. I teased the Bucs. I teased them with the Jags early in the week. It's a no-brainer play for me. I'm getting the home team over a touchdown. No, the total's not as low as I'd like it to be for a traditional long teaser. I'd like it to be under 44. But 45.5, I think, is just a little skewed because of what we've seen with the Cowboys. Cowboys games just go flying over the total. Why? Because of all the freaking turnovers. You keep turning the ball over, Dak. That really hurts unders. And that's why I'm not getting involved with the total tonight. I don't know if I trust either one of these guys under center. We have seen Tom Brady have his worst year to date. His defense is finally playing better, and really that's what's kept him in most of these games. On the flip side, Dallas's defense is starting to play worse. And Dak's turning the ball over, and I'm getting in arguments on Twitter, whether it's Dak's fault, the O-line's fault, the receiver's fault. It doesn't matter. Guy comes back from injury and just throws an unprecedented amount of interceptions, whether it's his decision-making, whether it's his throw, whether it's on his receiver. The communication lines are off, and that tells me I don't want to touch either one of those sides. Again, wussed out. Bucs plus 8.5.
I'm going to give you my teaser here in just a second on this game. I'm going to do a Nadu teaser. We want this clock wasted. I want every second of it wasted. Get to the hole. Get to the hole. Get to the hole. Tyson Walker has been a menace. Let's see if you can find it. Get to the hole. Jump shot. Up. Good. Winning. Take it. He take the lead. Michigan State takes the lead. 63-62. We're on the seesaw here, folks. It's a timeout. We might have a winner here. Shut up, people talking about the game 10 minutes in. Stop doing that, please. That said, we're at a timeout. I don't play a lot of teasers, Kelly, but I'm going to play a teaser, total side. I'm going to agree with you, okay? I like the Bucs. You see this number go from 3 to 2.5, very indicative, okay? That's pretty interesting. You don't see that a lot.
Yep.
The Dallas defense has not been the same since they lost Anthony Brown and one of their other secondary players. Didn't look good against Houston. Against Gardner Minshew, he moved the ball up and down the field on this team. I can take the total to 39.5. Okay. And while it's not, I want to get under 42. In fact, I'm getting under 40 here. Look, at the end of the day, 24-20 is a winner here. 23-17 is a winner here. I just need it, to get over 39.5. I think the number's fine. I wanted a parlay teaser piece for this. I didn't like 45.5. I don't like being above 42 and 45. I'll get it down below some of those numbers at 39.5. 23-20. I got a winner here. I'm going to go a teaser, 2-team teaser. I don't do that much, but I'm going to do it. Take it up to 8.5. I'm going to take the over 39.5.
I don't hate it. I don't tease totals. I have some rules that it's good for me to have rules because then I don't go too crazy. I don't tease totals. I just haven't seen the data to be able to support it or back it up long term, and that's no problem because you're right. I lean towards the under here, but that's only because I lean towards the Bucs. Mm-hmm. Something wonky is going to happen in this game. You already know.
This game will be 23-20. Watch.
It'll be something really ridiculous. Late field goal to win it. Pick six. Listen, the turnovers, I laughed, I joked, and I got just nobody has a sense of humor on the internet. And I said, come on, can I get some Danny Dimes turnovers after all the Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen?
Well, he's been good recently. He doesn't turn the ball over as much as he used to.
And that's fine. But I wasn't knocking on him. I was just saying we've seen so many fucking turnovers. Can I get one to go my way? And
I think you're going to get one. I think we'll get
at least one tonight. I think we'll get at least one tonight.
All right, here we go, Kelly. 11 seconds to go.
Okay.
Fletcher Lawyer is going to inbound here. Okay,
wait, 11 seconds?
11 seconds left.
How far? You're way behind. You're way behind.
Braden Smith, bring it up across the timeline, hands it off to a Lawyer. It's down to Zach Edey. They're going to go to Zach Edey for the win. Got it. 64-63. They go to old reliable, the big man, Zach Edey. He ties it. No, he doesn't. They take the lead, 64-63. 2 seconds ago. You knew they were going to do it. They haven't been guarding him all game. They go to the big man, Zach Edey. He says, get the fuck out of here, Sissoko. Boom. There we go. Beautiful. So this
all
is what
right.
we want, Kelly. No fouls here late.
They shouldn't foul. They shouldn't foul here.
Well, no, they're not going to foul, but I'm talking about a phantom call from the referee or something.
Oh, I'm going to say, because you'd be surprised how many coaches don't know when to foul versus guys get so hyped up that there's an accidental, like you just said.
There's 2 seconds left. I'm hoping for inbound, catch, dribble or 2, and shoot.
Bye.
Yeah,
Yep.
We don't want anything here. Nothing stupid. We got to hang on to this game's over, and then we're going to get out of here. Kelly, you can leave if you want. I don't want to make it stay. Someone says better than Al Michaels' call. Thank you.
There you go.
Listen, I'll tell you right now, if I studied and was able to just focus a little bit, I could call these games perfectly.
I definitely could not. My days back at another, I wouldn't call him a competitor of Barstool by any means, but another, I mean, broadcasting kind of gig that I did. I remember I sit at the thing and they're like, all right, you're doing highlights today. And here's the teleprompter just flying off the handle. And I'm like, I can't keep up. My brain doesn't work that way. I am not built for journalism and or broadcasting.
You got to have quick awareness, right? You got to know boom, boom, boom. You got to, because again, it's really just about player. If I could memorize each roster one by one and I know what they look at. By the way, Zach Edey, 32 points today. 32. Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of game without him. I mean, Michigan State had no answer, but this is what you do. You let him score, and as long as no one else beats you, you can hang out. So, all right. I think we're going to be okay here. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're going to be okay. That said, Kelly, you and I both like Cuse, a spread tonight, plus 7.5. I'm also going to play Merrimack under 116.5.
Yep.
You have a teaser pending with the Bucs plus 8.5. I agree. I'm going to play them plus 8.5 as well. And I'm also going to take the over 39.5. So, look, if it falls, 17-10 or 21-13, so be it. I'm going to hope we get to 40 here. That said, Kelly, good to see you. I'm glad we were able to make do with what we have. I see a little pup hanging out. You're on mute.
Sorry, that's why I looked and I muted myself because she does this thing where she doesn't feel comfortable in her bed and then she goes to lay somewhere else and then she lays there on her side and scratches on the carpet and it's the most obnoxious. Yeah, you can hear her breathing the entire show. That's why you guys will catch me muting myself. I don't have the heart to kick her out. It's like one of the joys of working from home.
I thought you had someone dying in your house or something. I hear breathing.
I mean, let's hope not yet. I won't be able to handle the death of this one. It'll take me a long time to recover. But
yeah, dogs are important. A lot of people. I don't have any dogs, but I know how difficult it is losing a pet. All right, Kelly, we might as well. 2 seconds. Here we go. The inbound. They're looking. Let's see what
we got.
You have to catch it in the front court. You're gonna try a basketball pass. No. All right, that's gonna be 0.5 seconds to go. That was what we didn't want. We don't want some foul or something. All right, I got to get off here. Okay, I'm going to go.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye, Kelly. Good to see all of you. Thank you for watching. We're back tomorrow. Same time, same place, 4 o'clock Eastern. Normal show. Back at it. Kelly, have a good night.
You too.
See you guys.